All right, let's dive in. We're tackling a really interesting area today, how technology is, changing golf performance analysis.
Yeah, and specifically,
Our focus for this deep dive is on Envisage launch monitors. We've got a pretty comprehensive source document to work through.
that's right. This document, it comes to us from Henrik Jensch, who's a sales agent for Envisage. So our mission here is basically to unpack this material.
Right. Understand how they present themselves.
Exactly. And pull out the most important claims, the details about their tech, their products, and, where they see themselves in the market.
And if you're someone who's fascinated by how all this data and tech is transforming golf practice,
hmm
maybe you run a facility, or you're just curious about the tools helping players get better.
Then this should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, this deep dive will hopefully give you a clear picture of these systems, which are, well, designed to be accurate, user-friendly, and, according to the source anyway, more accessible.
So the document, it kicks off with some background on Envisage itself. It says the company was founded over in Korea
Okay.
by people with apparently a lot of experience in the launch monitor industry, like decades designing and manufacturing for other brands before they launched their own.
So it's presented as a company built on some deep technical know-how then.
Seems like it.
I mean,
And they specifically set out the document claims to tackle some common issues with other systems.
like what? High cost, I imagine.
High cost, yeah. Needing special markers on clubs or balls, that kind of thing. And sometimes tricky software integration.
Right.
Their stated goal is to make that sort of professional-grade analysis available to more people, trying to hit that sweet spot between accuracy, affordability, and just being easy to use.
Okay. Let's see how they translate that mission into actual products,
Mm-hmm.
starting with their overhead systems. The document details two main models here, the N1 and the N2.
Right. The overhead approach itself is a key thing, putting the cameras above the hitting area.
Looking down.
Yeah, which they say simplifies setup and gives a clear view of, the club hitting the ball.
So the N1, that's described as their sort of entry-level overhead one.
Uh-huh. According to the source, it's priced at $4,995.
And what do you get for that?
For that price, you get two high-res cameras. The document lists the data. Core metrics like ball speed, spin axis.
Quin axis, that's the tilt of the spin, right?
Exactly, relative to the horizon. Plus launch angle, how high it starts, and some basic club head data. It's positioned as being good for, say, indoor bays, home studios, or ranges, needing that essential ball flight feedback without taking up floor space.
Gotcha. Then moving up, there's the N2, presented as a pretty significant upgrade. The price mentioned is around $9,900.
Yeah, around $9,900, and the document really flags this price as competitive for what it offers. The big difference is it steps up to 3 high-res cameras.
Okay, so what's the payoff? What did that extra camera actually do?
Well, the source claims it allows for enhanced 3D data capture. So think greater precision in pinpointing the exact impact spot on the club face.
Oh.
More detailed visualization of that spin axis we talked about, and just a better 3D reconstruction of the ball's flight.
So it's less about just the ball flight and more about getting deeper into the club data at impact itself.
Exactly. The N2's enhanced features, as listed in the doc, include things like real-time video replay showing the ball's spin direction, with graphics overlaid, apparently, for clarity.
Visualizing spin.
Yeah. And sharper imagery, which the source says means more accurate measurement of face angle at impact, club path.
Club path being the direction the head's moving.
Right. And dynamic loft, the actual loft at impact.
And the document mentions zero perceptible lag with the N2. That sounds pretty important for practice.
Oh, absolutely. Crucial for a smooth feel, Now, looking at the benefits of the overhead setup in general, for both N1 and N2, the source highlights a few key points.
Marker minimalism jumps out. That's a big one they mention.
Yes, it is. Unlike some systems that need, those reflective stickers or special balls.
Yeah, the dots.
Right. These overhead units, according to this source, need no sticker on the club's toe, which simplifies things quite a bit.
And I guess that ties into the real-world simulation advantage. They claim you could just use your regular golf ball.
Right. The idea is you practice with the exact ball you play with on the course. Supposedly makes the data more relevant, fewer variables.
Makes sense. Space efficiency is another obvious one. Cameras are up high, floor stays clear, no tripping hazards from ground units.
Definitely. And the document uses this term rapid adoption, suggesting the setup and calibration are, pretty intuitive. Plug and play, designed for people who aren't necessarily tech wizards.
Getting reliable data quickly, a key selling point, I imagine.
They certainly emphasize it.
Okay, so that's the overhead stuff. But Envisage also offers ground-based options, right, for different kinds of setups.
They do, yeah. Detailing the Neo E and the Neo T.
The Neo E that's described as their portable ground monitor, listed at $5,900.
Uh-huh. This one apparently uses 3 cameras embedded at ground level to capture the ball flight. Portability is the main thing here.
Easy to move around.
Designed to be, yeah. Set up easily on a range mat, indoors, any flat practice spot. It gives you the key metrics: ball speed, launch, spin, carry, some basic club data.
And then there's the Neo T that's presented as more of a tower-style monitor. Price wasn't in this doc, though.
No price listed for the T here. It also uses 3 cameras, but they're positioned higher, like waist height, in a stable tower.
Yeah.
The source indicates this is really aimed at more permanent installations, indoor places, academies, commercial simulators. It even mentions compatibility with modular mounting systems for custom setups.
So Neo E is all about flexibility, grab and go. A Neo T is more for fixed bays, durability, seamless integration.
That's the gist. Both Neo models are positioned as prioritizing, again, quick deployment and consistent data. Valuable for facilities maybe juggling multiple bays or academies needing reliable, easy-to-manage units.
Now, collecting all this data is one thing, but how do you actually use it? The document talks up Envisage's software ecosystem, making it all work together.
Yeah, the proprietary software is presented as the hub, unifying the data capture, the analysis, the presentation, all in what they claim is a user-friendly interface. It breaks down into a few components.
Like the main analysis screen for instant data after you hit.
Right. Metrics pop up: ball speed, spin axis, launch angle, carry, apex height on a dashboard you can apparently customize.
Yeah.
You also get a dynamic side view graphic showing the flight path.
With options to change views and stuff.
Yeah, adjust views, zoom, even overlay simulated wind or slope, it seems.
And with the N2, that 3-camera system, the software gives you point of impact details, showing where on the face you hit it.
Automatically identifies it, they claim, which is presented as really valuable for diagnosing mishits, consistency problems, that sort of thing.
Makes sense?
Beyond the live analysis, there's also a driving range mode.
Which just logs every shot.
Yeah.
So you can compare.
Logs them sequentially, yeah. Allows side-by-side comparisons. And you can reportedly filter shots by club, maybe shot type, performance metrics.
Okay. And a big point for many users will be compatibility with other simulators.
Absolutely. The document explicitly mentions native support for Golf Simulator Pro, GS Pro, and True Golf Apex.
Which implies that the data, trajectory, spin, launch conditions feed straight into those virtual environments for realistic play.
That's the idea, a seamless transfer. The source also notes they're actively working on more partnerships too, suggesting that ecosystem might grow.
Right.
And finally, the software supports user profiles and customization.
So multiple users. Good for coaches or facilities.
Or just individuals tracking their own progress. Each profile stores history, settings, and can even track progress through personalized practice drills, apparently.
Drills are built in.
Said to include built-in drill libraries, yeah. Designed to help players focus on specific things like swing plane or launch angle, with adjustable goals to track improvement.
This all sounds, well, pretty comprehensive based on the document. But who is this tech really for in practice? The source breaks down the applications by user type.
It does. For teaching pros and coaches, it's positioned as a tool for, objective, data-driven feedback. Measuring club path, face-to-path.
Face-to-path, the relationship between the face angle and the path.
Exactly. And impact location. Stuff that helps diagnose swing mechanics.
So coaches could use it to prescribe really specific drills and actually measure if the student's improving.
Quantify progress, yeah. It's also described as supporting curriculum integration, combining video, launch data, maybe even on-course performance into a whole development plan. And with cloud-based data sharing mentioned, the source suggests remote coaching could get easier. Coaches reviewing sessions, exporting data from anywhere.
Interesting. What about for golf clubs and facility managers? How's it framed for them?
For them, putting these monitors in is framed largely around boosting member engagement.
The members like playing with the tech.
The idea is they enjoy analyzing their game with pro-level tools. And data-driven practice might lead to, higher satisfaction, maybe even more revenue from simulator bay usage.
Right. It could turn underused indoor spaces into real assets.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when paired with simulator software like GS Pro, those bays become high-end simulator suites, expanding revenue streams, particularly in the off-season or just bad weather days.
club fitters too, I suppose?
Club fitters and U-tailers are mentioned, yeah. Using the precise data for equipment testing, demo days.
Okay. And finally, what about serious amateurs and recreational players?
For individuals looking to maybe self-diagnose their game, the document says it gives them access to the same kind of data the pros use.
Without necessarily needing a coach right there.
Yeah. Understanding their own launch conditions, ball flight, it's presented as helping players make those small improvements on their own. Home practice setups are highlighted too.
Especially with that portable Neo E or maybe an overhead unit in a home sim bay.
Exactly. And for tournament prep, the idea is you could simulate conditions, analyze your metrics in a controlled way, maybe fine-tune your routine.
Okay. So based on this document, Envisage seems to be aiming pretty broadly across the golf world. How do they position themselves against competitors based on the claims here?
The document emphasizes several points where Envisage claims to stand out. First off is cost efficiency.
Right, that N2 price, around $9,900.
Yeah, that's presented as significantly undercutting many rival high-end systems, which might cost, $15,000 or even more for similar data quality, especially systems needing expensive marked balls.
And that lower cost ties into the minimal marker dependency point, lower running costs for busy facilities, presumably.
Exactly. Not needing to constantly buy special balls and not needing a club sticker is also presented as a simplification compared to systems that do require markers on every club or ball.
Okay.
Then there's data accuracy and resolution. Especially with the N2's 3 cameras, that's positioned as rivaling more expensive competitors.
And the software flexibility seems key too. Trying to balance detailed analysis for coaches with being easy for amateurs to use, plus that simulator integration we talked about.
Definitely a major selling point they highlight. And finally, the document points to Korean engineering and manufacturing, leveraging Korea's reputation in electronics, optical sensors.
Claiming consistent quality control, faster development.
That's the implication, yes.
Okay, so let's try and pull together the key takeaways from this deep dive into the Envisage Launch Monitor document, the one provided by Henrik Jensch.
Right. We've seen Envisage, apparently founded by industry veterans, making a clear effort, or at least stating an effort, to make high-quality swing and ball analysis more accessible.
They offer both overhead models, the N1 and N2, with different camera counts, data depth, and prices. What were they again? $4,995 and around $9,900.
That's right, and they highlight advantages like minimal marker needs and saving floor space. Plus, they have the ground-based options, the portable Neo E at $5,900 and the more fixed Neo T tower.
And that integrated software ecosystem seems pretty central. Real-time data, visualization, including that point of impact thing on the N2 shot tracking.
And crucially, compatibility with popular simulators like GS Pro and TrueGolf Apex.
Which opens up broad practical applications, based on the document anyway, targeting coaches who need precise data, facilities wanting to engage members and boost revenue, and serious players looking for pro-level tools.
Yeah, a wide net. And their claimed competitive edge, as presented in the source, really hinges on that cost efficiency, needing fewer markers, data accuracy, flexible software, and that Korean manufacturing base.
So considering Envisage's emphasis, at least in this document, on democratizing access to this high-fidelity data at competitive prices, and their focus on integrating with popular sim platforms.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How might this push towards more accessible, detailed swing and ball flight analytics? How might that actually change how golfers at all levels, from pros down to weekend players, how they learn, practice, and maybe improve their game in the coming years?
A really interesting question to ponder.